Let's start, everyone. So my name is WillFennell. I am the Biodroga distributor, and I also own a salon here in Sydney that I've had for 30 years. So I went to beauty school back in 1994. So this is my 30th year in the industry. So my affair with Biodroga began. I turned up to beauty school with, first of all, I was the only boy at beauty school. I was actually the third ever to go through my school. And I had terrible acne. And the first product I really used that worked was Biodroga. And I now know why that was the case. And it was the case because right from the very beginning, the creator of Biodroga was a gentleman called Walter Friedman. And he came at it from an angle of working with the skin and not against the skin. And he always believed in promoting and encouraging and nurturing the bacteria, the good bacteria on the skin. We always had skin biotics in our skincare. And this is 30 years ago. Skin biotics are really quite big now, but no one really talked about them back then, but we did. So my skin cleared up. So you can imagine for and 17, I was 18 when I went to beauty school, 18-year-old boy, all of a sudden my skin cleared up. I fell in love. I absolutely fell in love with Biodroga. And I knew then that I wanted to have a salon and I wanted to work with Biodroga. So at the end of beauty school, I went out to get a job and no one would employ me. Couldn't get a job because I was a boy. And this back then, no one was employing men in what was predominantly a female industry. And so I thought, well, stuff them. I'm going to open my own salon. And I opened my own salon with my best friend, who was also a colleague of mine where I was working part-time. And we opened our first salon. 30 years later, we still have that salon, and it is the flagship store for Biodroga here in Australia. So I started also working with Biodroga here in Australia as one of their trainers. That culminated in me, joining my first visit to Baden-Baden, and then I fell in love with the company. And then 12 years ago, they asked me to take over as the distributor, and then I joined their international training team. So I trained the trainers. And I think what works for me is the fact that I'm a trainer, I'm a fully qualified skin therapist, I'm a salon owner, and I'm also a distributor. So when I'm working with salons, I can really come at it from all these angles. Because sometimes, very often, Biodroga will release a new product, and I'll be like, I want that product. And then I have to put on my distributor hat, and I have to say, maybe that won't work with my market. It's the same for salons. So as my my salon manager might say, that's not going to work for our salon. So I'm really coming at it, from lots of different angles. And I think that is the reason I have been as successful as I have been with Biodroga. A little bit about Biodroga. Biodroga is made in a little town called Baden-Baden, which some of the trainers here have been to. We've all shared the experience of being in Baden-Baden together. It's a beautiful little town surrounded by the Black Forest. And we are very, very lucky to have a place that is a part of our history. In the Black Forest, Walter Friedman, who's the creator of Biodroga, he used to actually plant and harvest herbs from the Black Forest. And these herbs in our Black Forest complex, that's fern, moss, and elder, which we've now brought back into the line. And we work with these herbs in all of the bioscience line. And this is a part of our history. All the products in there, and I'll go through this a bit later, everything is conceived there, it's tested there, it's made there, it's packaged there, and it's sent out from there from Baden-Baden, which makes us very unique. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to go through clean beauty. What is clean beauty? Everyone's talking about clean beauty, but the problem is no one really knows what clean beauty is, and this is a problem. We're going to talk about the umbrella brand approach. So we used to have two brands, Biodroga Bioscience and Biodroga MD. We now have one brand, that has 3 lines underneath it. We're going to talk about the ingredients that we prescribe for skin conditions we're treating, the prescriptions for those, pH management, the medical acid concept, and at the end, we're going to really have an hour of Q&A. So please stick around for that because that will be, I think, the most interesting part of today's presentation. I want to thank you for joining us. I know that this is 2 hours out of your time. And as a trainer, and some of the other trainers will know, it's often very hard to get as many people as we have here today to our classes. So I'm very chuffed that you have joined me today. Okay, so I have this saying, knowledge is power. What does that mean? Knowledge is power. And this is never more important now because all of your customers and clients have what we call the World Wide Web. Everyone now is an expert on absolutely everything. Okay. So if you don't have the knowledge, then you are going to be left behind by your clients. You are not going to be able to keep up with what is happening, especially with ingredient technology. There's always a new ingredient coming out and everyone knows about it. So this is really important can we just make sure that everyone mutes their microphone, please? So this is really important when we're talking about the pathway to clean beauty, because we really need to know what our concept of clean beauty is and how we are presenting that to the customers and clients. The Biodroga differences. So in the world of skincare, we would like to think that we are quite unique. So I'm talking here I know we can talk about it as salons as well. So as a company, we like to think we're quite unique because we use, these formulas with ingredients and so forth. But basically everyone can use the same ingredients. So everyone can use vitamin C, everyone can use retinol, everyone can use niacinamide. Yes, they're using them in different concentrations and they're making like what I like to call their recipes or their formulas is unique to them. But everyone is using the same ingredients. So what makes us different to our competitors? And this is something that is very important to Biodroga, and it is in-house research and development. What does that mean? So most skincare companies would have an idea. They would go to another company and that company would then create the products for them and potentially send that to another company that would make the actual products, so that the one company would do the formula, the other company would make the products, package it and send it out. Okay. For us, every single thing happens in Baden-Baden by us. All of your trainers that have been to Baden-Baden, they all know they have been a part of it because we always have a part in Train the Trainer that says, what do you want? What do you want? And everyone's putting up their hands. We want under eye masks and things. Not all of it happens, but they are listening. It all starts there. So then what do? They say, okay, we're going to take these ideas. We might take a eyelash and eyebrow serum for sake. What they might do then is say, okay, we're going to work with this, and they send that off to R&D. R&D is one of my most favorite parts of where Baden-Baden is made in BCG, because then they create the product. Then we test it ourselves. When we say we test it ourselves, we test it on the staff in the offices. Okay. And sometimes I've tested products for them as well. If everything's working with the testing, then they do all of the other testing to make sure that the product can last in the container, all of this. And then it's produced and made, packaged and sent from Baden-Baden. Every single bit from the beginning to the end is us. And what does that mean? Is that we can control every step of the quality. Because I promise you, the company that gets someone else to make their product does not control where those ingredients come from. We do. We can control that where the gold what we use in our high performance cream comes from is ethically sourced. We can control that because we control every step. And this is what makes or made us for a long time very unique. So why change perfection? And this, I use this, I use this term, why change perfection? Because I got asked this over and over and over. And secretly, I will tell you, when our formulas change to clean beauty formulas, I ask the question as well. Why change? We had to change to remain sustainable. Okay. So when I say that, everything is changing in the industry and the entire industry is moving towards clean beauty. It may take some time. Okay, so it may take some time for all the companies to catch up, but guess what? There's a very small sort of movement that have already changed. And a lot of the big companies are realizing now they have to change. So this means for our sustainability as a company, we had to change. And so if you know anything about our company, is that when they do something very well and they do it completely. So we couldn't just have some products that were clean and some products that weren't. We couldn't have one line that was clean and one line that wasn't. So we made sure that basically the entire lines all became clean. And this just meant that we removed certain petrochemicals in our skincare and replaced them with natural alternatives. And really we focused on the slogan that clean beauty is the future of skincare. And guess what? Biodroga is a part of that future. We are leading this movement. So what do we have now? We have the same in-house research and development. We still have the same quality assurance, which sets us apart from our competitors. But now we are clean and sustainable. These are our differences to our competitors. Our unique selling point, USP, unique selling point, in-house research, quality assurance, clean and sustainable. So how do we talk to our clients about this? And it's about changing the narrative. So we focus on those ingredients that we no longer contain. And they are mineral oil, parabens, microplastics, polyurethane glycol or PEGs, cyclic silicons, phthalates, and of course, animal cruelty. So when we start to talk to our clients, we are talking about what we don't contain. And this is a change for us because what we used to talk about was what we did have in our line. Now we're starting to talk about what we don't contain and start to use terms such as forever chemicals. Forever chemicals are those that come from petrochemicals that do not break down and they are non-renewable. Just a little anecdote for you to think about. Today, which milk is milk? So when I get all my group of friends together, and it must be a nightmare for the barista, and they start ordering, they're like, okay, can I have a single shot soy milk cappuccino? Can I? And they will go around, and one's got almond milk, one's got walnut milk, then we've got coconut milk. So, oh my gosh, but today, which milk is milk? Go back to 30 years ago, there was one milk. One milk, that was all we had. And that came from a cow. Okay. We weren't even really getting into goat milk back then. It was just really cow or even sheep milk. It was cow's milk. But now, today, which milk is milk? We have soy, we have oat, we have coconut, we have almond, we have walnut. All of these milks now are considered milks. And this change that occurred was slow And it was scary for some people, especially people who, loved milk and then realized that they were lactose intolerant or their skin just did not tolerate dairy. So it was scary for them because change was scary. They didn't like the taste anymore. It was a bit thicker. It didn't mix with. I remember the first times when we used to use soy milk 30 years ago. Soy milk just didn't mix with the water properly. It was a bit chalky. So this change was scary, but it happened. And we will see these similar trends occurring with clean beauty, is that people will get on board. So think about it this way. Think about animal cruelty. 30 years ago, the real movement began. But before that, people didn't really think about it. We had to test on animals because that was just a fact of life. This is how we tested our skincare. But very slowly and then very fast, the change occurred and people demanded cruelty-free, not because it had any effect on our skin, but because it came from an eco-conscious angle. And this is what we are seeing and going to see with clean beauty. But the important point to remember when educating people is teach, don't preach. And this is never more obvious than when you're talking to a smoker. Okay. So if you preach to a smoker, their barriers will come up and they will not listen because you are coming at it from an angle of judgment. And that is not that's what you don't want. You want to come at it as an educator and you want to start teaching them about the benefits, the benefits, the benefits. Okay. We focus a lot on the negative. Let's focus on the benefits. So if you think about it this way, by replacing cyclic silicons with vegetable alternatives, it means that product breaks down in the environment. All positive. When you stop smoking, your lungs begin to clear and you're going to be able to run and swim again. All positive. And I always like to go back to this slogan. Another one is nothing changes if nothing changes. And sometimes this is just the smallest of changes, can make a very big impact. So four points to remember when you are in your salon, educating your staff who are going to educate your clients. If you don't know, they won't know. So you need to know what the benefits are. You need to know what the detriments are to using these ingredients. You need to know what they are, where they come from. You need to know. If you don't know, then they won't know. So this just means you need to also educate your staff and your customers. A social media focus on clean beauty. So through your social media avenues, focusing on clean beauty, not all clean beauty, but at least I would say 1 in 6 tiles, at least, a focus on clean beauty. Staff education on clean ingredients. I can't tell you how many salons I go to where they don't train their staff. Staff education is paramount. It needs to be a part of the salon ethos. Education is important. Using blogs on commitment to clean beauty. So on your sites, focus on, if you use blogs, focus on clean beauty. Also, when you do that, you engage the customers at home that are on the sites on learning about clean beauty. So what is clean beauty? It's a bit of a non-term. It's a term that we use. What I love more is focusing on what we don't have, because another company might say we are clean beauty, but they might have just removed pegs, okay, or silicons, but they still use the others. So clean beauty is a general term. It sounds good. It sounds sort of funky, no animal testing and clean beauty. Wow, but as a term, it's a bit of a non-term. So what do we lean into? So when we looked at what we wanted to do, we listened to industry trends, and the trend is moving towards the removal of these ingredients and what our customers wanted. So we followed those rules when we were developing the new relaunch of Biodroga. So I'll go through in bioscience, medical, or an organic. We never use mineral oil, parabens, microplastic particles, synthetic polymers, PEGs, and silicons. All of these ingredients come from petrochemicals. In Medical Institute, none of those ingredients are used. We also don't use fragrances and colorants. And for some specific products, we use animal-derived ingredients. And of course, that's in the caviar, that's in the lifting boost mask. We use honey. Okay. So, and we refrain from using ingredients that contain gluten or lactose. The first one, what is mineral oil? We'll go through these quickly because you can, look this up at home. But mineral oil is a generic term for different substances made from petroleum. Okay. This was used in skincare as skin conditioning. So mineral oil, back when I was in beauty school, all products contain mineral oil. Okay. If you think about a company like Ella Bache, it really was based on mineral oil and lanolin. Okay. Why do we refrain from using mineral oil now? Is mineral oil is neither renewable or biodegradable. So it doesn't break down. Okay. It doesn't break down, and it's hard to make the resources that we constantly have because it takes such a long time to make it. Okay. What we've alternatively used are plant-based oils, fats, and waxes. So these ingredients act the same. So we think about something as delicious as jojoba wax as opposed to mineral oil. Okay. What do we know about that? Mineral oil tends to sit on the surface. Jojoba wax melts into the skin. What are microplastics? So these are funny because we constantly think about just the grains that are in skincare, okay? What they can be used as mechanical peelings, but they're also used as thickeners and stabilizers. So what this means is this thickens up. So it's like a liquid plastic. Sounds a bit scary because it is. It's like a liquid plastic, and that thickens up the creams, okay? So again, we replace that with something else, and we use natural peeling bodies like jojoba beads, bamboo extract, but also we use polysaccharides to thicken up the products. Okay, so the environmental concerns of this particular ingredient is they accumulate in aquatic organisms. And we know this because they're testing the animals. And what's happening with these ingredients is they are interfering with the reproductive processes of these aquatic organisms, including the tiny algae. So it is really important that these ingredients are removed, because what happens is they are washed down the sinks and they go into our seas. What are silicons? These are, again, synthetic substances, okay? So their function on the skin is to give like that silky feeling, okay? When a product feels silky. So we do know that these products, when they're washed down the oceans, they're not biodegradable and they accumulate in the environment. Again, we're using natural thickeners, oils and waxes to give that silky feeling. This is one of those ingredients that your client might notice the difference. Silicons are very silky. When you felt older sort of formulas that were very, very lots of slip, they contained silicons. Those products that don't contain them now will not be as silky feeling, but that is a part of the change in formulas. What are parabens? Parabens have been outlawed for quite some time. They were preservatives in skincare. So now we use other ingredients such as, such as antioxidants, vitamins, A and C and E to preserve the products. Why did we remove them? Because there was potential for them causing negative effects on our bodies, such as cancers. What are pegs? These have multiple of functions. Here it says surfactants, emulsifiers, solubilizers, humectants, and skin conditioning ingredients. They have a multiple of functions. One that if you think about in the cleansing oil, what changes that oil into a milk when you add water? And that is a peg. Okay, it is an emulsifier. Okay, so that's what its action does. So these were, I think, the most challenging for us to replace. And we have replaced them with other natural emulsifiers and surfactants, with something like sunflower oil. So this was very challenging for us, but I think in all we managed to get there. So it's up to each of us to know about those ingredients. You don't need to know super technical. You need to know what they are, what effect they have on the environment, and what we've replaced them with. And the fact is we've replaced all of these petrochemical ingredients that are non-renewable, non-biodegradable, potentially hazardous to our environment with natural alternatives that are biodegradable, that have no negative effect on our health. And you need to be able to relay that to your staff and then to your customers in a friendly, positive. Don't I have listened to a few of my therapists sort of preach to a client and say, you're doing this, you're killing our environment. Don't do that. We need to be very positive. We need to talk about what changes are, because also understand you might work with other companies that haven't yet begun the clean beauty movement. You do not want to be dissing them, especially if you have 3 or 4 companies. Focus on Biodroga, what we as a company do, what our philosophy is, and this is what we don't use in our products. Do not condemn the other products. We believe this, we believe this, we believe this. Okay.
Will, can I interrupt for 1 minute?
Yes.
These are on for you.
Hello?
Yes, Karen.
Yes, if you guys are a little bit distracted by all the people that you're seeing, if you want to only see Will and the PowerPoint, go up to the view button and select side-by-side speaker instead of side-by-side gallery. And it is a lot easier to view it that way, and you will see a lot more of Will. Okay, continue. Thank you so much, Will.
So do you want to just say that again, Karen? Just in
Yes.
case. Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to see only the PowerPoint and Will's face and not everybody else's, go up to the view button at the top and select side-by-side speaker, not side-by-side gallery. And then you'll only see Will and the PowerPoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. So it's up to each of us. So there's a few little easy things for you to remember that you can take away. Don't tell them once, tell them 100 times. So this just means you need to reinforce this all the time. Don't be preachy. As I said, you don't talk over them, but you subtly mention this all the time in the salon and in your socials and your communication with your customers. These are tiles that we personally use on our Instagram, and we use this as the last tile in every single post. And we can get these particular tiles to you. Just speak to your distributor and they will be able to provide these tiles to you. Okay. So a little bit of training 101. So we'll deal with the one issue that I come across a lot, and is the question is, I don't like the smell of the products. I thought they were fragrance free. So, okay, when a client has asked you a question, don't get defensive. That's the first thing. And I know sometimes these are like my babies, okay, and my children, and I'm like, what are you talking about? But understand what the client's saying. Okay, I don't like the smell of the products. They're saying they don't like the product. I don't like the smell, and they have an idea. I thought they were fragrance free. So there's an idea. They say respond, don't react. So if they're in front of you, just say, take your time, think about what they've said. If they've done it via email, or take your time, don't just react, respond, and think about what, we know. Medical Institute, is it fragrance free? No. Is it perfume free? Yes. So that is when you can go back to your clients and educate them about the Medical Institute smelling idea. Make the explanation simple and give an easy example for the client. And this is the example, is that Medical Institute contains no perfumes, but ingredients have a smell. So are they fragrance free? No. Think about, there's two here. Think about the ferulic acid in the peptide serum. If you know ferulic acid, it has a smell. And now I know how good the peptide serum is. I love the smell of the ferulic acid. But some clients might go, oh, that doesn't smell right. I thought these products were, fragrance free. No, they have a fragrance because all ingredients have a smell, but we don't add any perfumes to cover up that smell. It's the same you'll find in any of the oil-based products in bioscience. So say the makeup remover balm, it has a smell of the waxes and oils. Initially, you might think, oh, that just smells like not so good. But now I don't notice. And when you say I use the makeup, I actually sometimes use the makeup remover balm as my cleanser because it's really, and then not add water. It's beautiful and nourishing. So it does have a smell though, but it's actually the smell of the ingredient. So most important thing here is respond and don't react. Okay. Yeah. For any of those customers that were using the formulas and selling the formulas previous to our relaunch, understand a few things. The first one is the products do have different textures. Some of them require new application, and some of the old favorites have gone, but they have been replaced by updated versions. Now, remember to explain the why we did it. Okay, explain the why we did it, because we needed to remove these.
Will, you're muted.
Whoever just muted me, please, you're in trouble. So we'll go back. So when you're talking about formula changes, you need to explain the why and the how. And I'll take this myself. When the CC formulas changed a little bit, the biggest mistake that people were making was not explaining to people why the changes occurred and how to now apply them. And this now we can see with the people who just started using Biodroga after the the Clean Beauty formula upgrade didn't notice anything. Okay, but those people that used the previous formulas, there were cyclic silicons in them. So the feeling of the product was different, the application of the product was different. So you need to play with the products yourself, especially with CCs and foundations. You need to how to apply them yourself, but explain the why we changed them and then the how to use them. So this is, take for instance something like the anti-age moisturizer and the perfect age moisturizer. So these moisturizers now with their formula, they're not designed to be overly massaged. Okay, so the how to apply these particular creams, apply, massage in and leave. They are not designed to be overly massaged. They are what we would call oil in water, a little bit of oil and lots of water, as opposed to something like the Golden Caviar Rich Cream, which is water in oil, Little bit of water, lots of oil. They can massage to their heart's content with this cream and it's not going to ball. So the how. So explain to the clients how to use those moisturizers, those ones that can't be massaged, overly massaged into the skin, and those ones you can go to town. And you might say, well, what if my client's using Perfect Age and they really love to massage? In the evening, use the Perfect Age serum underneath the Repair and Protect Overnight cream. So you need to start thinking, well, I'm pulling in these lines and different products to make sure you can suit your client's needs. These are just a little bit of feedback we have had over time, and all of these I want to share these with you because these are all about customer service. All of these reviews basically came from clients' challenges. So use a little bit of an anecdote. It was that we had one particular client. She was overprescribed, prescribed too many products by one of my therapists, and she basically irritated and burnt her skin. So we went into customer care perfection. We called her, we went through it with her, and then we provided her with the hypersensitive cream as a salon. So I think all salons need to keep the hypersensitive cream on hand. It's like a ambulance in a pump, but we provided that to her. We stopped her from using all the other products, and we followed up every couple of days how her skin was going. We kept this client, and now she's one of our best clients. It wasn't about what went wrong. It was about what you did to make it right. Things happen. Things happen. You can't control this. I remember Oprah once said, life is 1% what happens and 99% how you react to it. And I think everyone talks about this now. It's not something we don't know, but stuff happens. How you choose to respond to that, how much you support the client, listen to the client, provide them with alternatives. That's great customer service. Making sure the products are perfect every single time. That's not customer service. That's Germany. That's not what customer service is all about. And another little slogan here is make exceptional the norm. So this is the end of our clean beauty part. This is, I think, something you really need to get on board with and educate yourself. And we have lots of information to be able to provide you with to make sure you know everything you need to know. We'll go briefly over the next topic, which is Biodroga, the umbrella brand approach. So we originally had Biodroga Bioscience and Medical Institute and MD, two brands. The problem with that is that some of the salons kept just Medical MD and some kept Bioscience. So we had to have products that crossed over. We had to have two different things, across the board here to make everything more simple for everyone. We now have one brand, and that is Biodroga. And originally the waves came through and we had Bioscience Institute, and it stood for luxury but still active skincare, indulgence, which is beautiful textures and fragrances with results, science and nature. We've mixed things like peptides, but also with honey. And all of the products have a delicate perfume. Medical Institute, what we call Medi Results skincare. I don't like to use the word cosmeceutical because, again, that's a non-word, but Medi Results skincare, meaning we started to treat skin conditions. So solving skin problems. Power Inkies. Inkies are the active ingredient, or not the active, but all the ingredients on the back of skincare. But we worked with Power Inkies, retinols, hyaluronic acid, ascorbic acid, these Power Inkies, and no perfumes. Then we introduced Organic Institute, and this was now our 100% certified natural and organic skincare line. Not a lot of products in the line, but what you'll see is in both Bioscience and Medical Institute, we still use some synthetic ingredients, okay, in organic, and we do that for performance. But in Organic Institute, we don't use any. at all. So how do the 3 lines work together? Is that we can pick and choose from each line the perfect products for our customers. So take, for instance, the concept that skin does not understand brands. Brand loyalty comes from product companies, not from the skin. Skin doesn't know. It doesn't say, oh, you've used that product on me, that product line on me today. I don't like that. What it says is, oh, that retinol is too high a concentration. I don't like that. So the 3 lines are designed to be combined. So in this, we're talking about in bioscience, we might use the cleanser, exfoliant, and foundation. In organic, we might use the lotion because that lotion is beautiful, super nourishing and hydrating, and the skin loves it. That we might use the AM serum or the skin refining serum because we don't want to use the vitamin C serum. It irritates our skin a little bit, but we know we've got vitamin C, the same sort of vitamin C at a lower concentration in the organic line. And we might use a mask, the beautiful phyto healing more mud mask from organic. Then in medical, we might go with a PM serum, the peptide serum. We might use a moisturizer from there, the hypersensitive moisturizer, and then balancing eye care. So see how we've picked products out of each line perfect for that customer. The only time this changes is if a client wants completely perfume free, then we go medical. If a client wants completely organic and natural, we go organic. Ingredient prescriptions. Now, this is one of my favorite parts because this is when we as skin therapists get to use our knowledge to help people. Now, when you're consulting with your customer, there's some points you need to remember. You need to know your client. This means you need a thorough skin consultation. You need to know everything. And the most important part of all of it, you might think, allergies and things, they are very important. What do you want to change in your skin? What is your skin concern? What is the one thing you want to change about your skin? You need to know that. If you don't know that, you can't go to where you're supposed to go. It's like sitting, sometimes I'll hop in the car with my husband and he'll say, where are we going? And I'm like, oh, I don't know the address. And he's like, how the bloody hell are we going to get there? You need to know where you're going. You need to know, and that is the concern they have. You need to know what it is. You need to know your ingredients. You need to know what they do, and you need to know the products they're in. I don't care if you don't know the name of the product. Not interested in the name of the product. When you go to the doctor, he does not prescribe Pfizer antibiotics. He prescribes amoxicillin. So you need to know the ingredient, and you need to know obviously what product it's in. But if you don't remember the names, it's not important. And I don't believe in talking about names with customers, because as soon as you bring up names or that beautiful brightening serum, that beautiful brightening, they think, oh, they're just selling me a product. You are prescribing a skin ingredient. You need to know the 6 skin conditions. They are dehydration, acne, hypersensitivity, red skin, pigmentation. I don't like to use the word anti-age because that's really a skin concern, not a condition. The skin condition is loss of volume, so loss of volume and loss of elasticity. So let's briefly go over our ingredients. You know your stuff, so we'll go through them. Vitamin C, we know it's skin brightening, it's an antioxidant, it is a melanin inhibitor, and it also strengthens the capillaries. Vitamin A, either retinol or retinal. Skin cell activated, it boosts collagen, it's a powerful antioxidant. Boosts skin cell production, normalizes skin cell size and shape, and it is the absolute star of the skincare ingredient world. It is probably the most researched and has the most backing by science behind it. Niacinamide, it's a relatively new ingredient. We certainly didn't talk about niacinamide when I was at college, but it has many benefits. It's multifunction talent, meaning it does a lot of things. It inhibits melanin transfer in the skin. So whilst, say, something like vitamin C is a melanin inhibitor, so it inhibits the amount of melanin produced, what niacinamide does is inhibits the movement of melanin. Supports the skin barrier, the functions and health of the skin barrier, normalizes cornification, which is the laying of the dead skin cells on the surface, okay, to make that protective layer. And it also controls sebum production, which is why it's in our clear skin line. Hyaluronic acid, so we know this one, it binds moisture. Okay, it supports healthy skin barrier. The smallest one, oligohyaluronic acid, whilst it is a moisture binder, is also an anti-inflammatory, and it also boosts the natural hyaluronic acid production in the skin. Oh, that's the smallest one. And we find that in what? In the CBD serum and in the hyaluronic acid serum. CBD has it in the serum because it's an anti-inflammatory as well as a moisture binder. And in the hyaluronic acid serum, we have it. So it gives the four hyaluronic acid effect, surface, and lots of deep hydration. Comes in 4 sizes: high, low, acetylated, and oligo. What is acetylated? Acetylated is fat-loving hyaluronic acid. CBD, highly anti-inflammatory. It's a relatively new ingredient used in skincare. It counteracts the side effects of other ingredients. So it really helps when you're adding other ingredients that might possibly be a bit irritating but are beneficial. CBD helps to counteract those side effects because it is highly skin compatible. It can be used on the most sensitive of skins. Peptides, these are what I call the personal trainers for skin. These are the little things that tell the skin what to do. They have multiple functions like boosting collagen and elastin. They support the collagen strength and the formation of the collagen. They mimic the hormones, mainly the youth hormone in the skin. We have one called clotho. And they also mimic the antioxidants that prevent glycation, such as glutathione mimic peptide. Antioxidants, we know about these. These prevent and delay the effects of free radicals. We work with coenzyme Q10, vitamin E, A and C, carnosine, geranol, propanol, and peptides. The acids, these are naturally occurring. We have BHAs and AHAs, beta hydroxy acids, such as salicylic acid, okay? And then the AHAs, we've got glycolic, lactic, mandelic, lactobionic, phytic. They encourage the natural desquamation of the skin. So what do? Is they break down the bonds that hold dead skin cells together. When they're used at a higher pH, some of them are water binding and they're also anti-inflammatory. Salicylic acid, higher pH, anti-inflammatory. Azelaic acid, it inhibits the reactions within the surface of the skin, which is why we use this particular ingredient in those skins with cuprose. Has many other functions as antibacterial, reduces excessive sebum, but it is also a melanin inhibitor. So what I've done here is a prescription. So we will provide this. I'm not going to go through all of these with you, but we will provide these prescriptions as a part of when you get the video to today. But what I've done is I've got on the left the skin concern. Then I've got in the middle the ingredient we're going to work with, and then on the right, the prescription. Now, this is what I want you to know. Okay, this is what I want you to know. Also, you need to then know the actual product that it's in. We're treating dehydration, pigmentation, acne, lines and wrinkles, loss of volume, rosacea, and hypersensitivity. If we just go back, you'll see here the AM serum and then the PM serum. With pigmentation, the other one is not a serum. It is absolutely essential that we work with high UV protection cream 50, always with clients with pigmentation. You cannot have one and not the other. It's no use they're using a vitamin C serum and not using sunscreen. They can't just use sunscreen and not use vitamin C serum and niacinamide. So these 3 products, vitamin C serum, high UV, and niacinamide, have to be used all together. All of these serums work better when they're used as a program together. One down here, we'll just go a little bit, this might be a little bit controversial for you. So with acne, you might say with 3% serum or vitamin C serum. When a client is in active acne, aggressive acne, red, raw, angry acne, you do not want to be using a 15% vitamin C. This is where I would always prescribe the 3% CBD serum. Why would I prescribe something like the vitamin C serum with someone with acne? Once the active angry acne is gone, what do we get from acne sometimes is post-inflammatory pigmentation, okay? Those marks. So this is when we introduce the vitamin C. Once that angry acne is gone, we introduce the vitamin C into an acne routine to help with that. Also the health of skin, but that's the reason. With rosacea, the other two here is 3% CBD serum in the morning and then the 10% azelaic acid serum in the evening. I love this routine. I definitely think those skins with rosacea benefit from the oligohyaluronic acid and the skin biotics that are in the CBD serum, the Lactococcus ferment lysate. So a skin with rosacea is so hard to treat and you're never going to get rid of it. And they are clients that sometimes it's them and acne clients where I just want to hug them. Okay. I just want to say, you know, I want to help you. I really do. And those clients will stick to a routine. And this is a fantastic routine. CBD serum in the morning and azelaic acid serum underneath, using underneath the Couperose cream. Okay. Needs to work with the Couperose cream. What do we got up there with lines and wrinkles? That's what I call serum cycling. So day 1, peptide, day 3, retinol, start again. Love serum cycling instead of layering. I'm not a big fan of layering. I won't get into the layering or not layering argument because we could be here all day. But personally, I think skin can be overprescribed and skins love good ingredients, but they don't like too much. Oh, sorry. So our unique acid concept. So when you're thinking about Biodroga Medical Institute, we work with acids in every single product. And that's when people go, oh my God, so the entire line is all exfoliating. You know, I can't use that. That's not how we work with acids. Acids can be both nourishing and exfoliating. Nourishing and exfoliating, depending on the concentration and the pH of the formulation. So by selecting the type of acid, the concentration, the desired mode is possible. And this just means that when the formula is made, we put the pH of the formula higher, we decrease the concentration, and we make that ingredient into a nourishing ingredient. And I love this idea. This is something I'm really, really, really passionate about because acids get a bad name. Oh no, or they get a really good name. I only want to use acids. You know that client that over chemically exfoliates. But we do want to work with these acids in 3 different ways. And this is just the pH of the product. Exfoliating, this is when we're going to have the pH down underneath 4. We work with glycolic acid. Can you just put your... excuse me, whoever's talking, can you just... Thank you. So when the pH is low underneath 4, we work with glycolic acid, lactobionic acid, mandelic, phytic, and salicylic acid as exfoliants. What is their job? Their job is quite simple. It is to dissolve or break down the bonds that hold dead skin cells together. That is what they do. When we bump up the pH to be over 4, okay, 4.2, 4.4, we are working with these acids in what we call a skin smoothing effect. So what they are designed to do is they they work as a slight exfoliator, but they're just designed to encourage the natural desquamation of skin cells. So sometimes we forget that the skin is really clever and it can do its job, because now more than ever, we're constantly helping the skin or over helping the skin. So what we want to do is just sometimes gently encourage the skin. And I think about this when we're talking about the little 5% AHA serum. It's quite a low percentage at a pH of over 4. And what does that serum do? Just gently encourages the natural desquamation and removal of skin cells. And with that, we work with glycolic acid, lactobionic acid, and salicylic acid. So salicylic acid in products that are slightly above 4, okay, which is our BHA serum, as opposed to under 4, which is in our salicylic acid expert acid. So see the difference. Salicylic acid here, above 4, skin smoothing in the BHA, and then under 4 as a exfoliating acid. And then we work with our nourishing ingredients: hyaluronic acid, amino acids such as peptides, ascorbic acid, azelaic acid, glycolic acid, ferulic, salicylic, and lactobionic. And all of these ingredients I worked up at and are used at an optimal skin pH of about 4.8 to 5.5. And that is when they're working as nourishing. What are they? Anti-inflammatories like salicylic acid, moisture binding ingredients like lactic and glycolic, ascorbic acid, skin brightening, hyaluronic acid, skin moisture binding. So this is something you need to know and understand and be able to discuss this with your clients. We talked about this before, but this is a great graph. It just shows you here the lower the pH and the higher the concentration, the more exfoliating the product is. The higher the pH, the lower the concentration, the more nourishing the ingredient is. Same ingredient. I love this. Same ingredient. Lower pH, higher concentration, far more exfoliating, an exfoliating ingredient. And then the lower you get and the higher you get there, the more irritating these become. What you take away from here is what I've said here: the higher the concentration, the lower the pH, the greater the peeling effect. pH value and pH management. So we have to understand that the skin optimally works at a pH of about 4.8 to 5.5. So we'll say 5. Okay. Now we can't really say 1 because skin pH will change and usually change with the amount of oil that's on the skin. Okay. So this is why we say 4.8 to 5.5, because no skin just constantly stays the same. It might be different in the morning to the evening. Okay. But the things you need to remember is that acne bacteria flourishes at 6.8. This means if the skin barrier is not at the right pH, then acne will go crazy. And this happens when people over cleanse. I'll go use products that contain soaps. This is when acne bacteria will flourish. Enzymes of the outermost layer of the skin require slightly acidic pH value in order to function. Enzymes are responsible for all of these functions within the skin. These are the desquamation of skin cells, the processes of the skin cells changing within each layer of the stratum of the epidermis. So enzymes have to be at a perfect skin pH of about 5 to function. A healthy pH is also crucial for the maturation of skin cells. So the removal of the skin cells from the basal layer right to the surface, the formation of the layers, and then the rejection of the dead skin cells. So this is what we call desquamation. When we're babies, we're desquamating all the time. You were to go into a nursery, there would be dead skin cells coming off everywhere. If I went into my grandparents' room, there would be hardly any, because desquamation is just not happening at the rate that it does when we're younger. But it's a part of the skin process. The skin cells are born in the basal layer, the germinative layer. They go through processes. They become hardened and full of melanin. They die and they lay on the surface. But we need to remove them. And the body can do it, the skin can do it very effectively if pH is right. So I just want to, these are my fish, okay? So what you're looking at here is really think about this as the skin epidermis, okay, the layer of the skin. So on the right, this, I keep discus fish. Discus fish are the hardest fish to keep in all of the aquarium world because they have to have the right pH to flourish. These fish, the ones on the right, and I keep them at about 6.5, okay? I try to keep it 6.5, okay? The ones on the right, think about them as the good bacteria, okay? And they're flourishing because this tank here was, I always keep it at a perfect pH. That poor fish on the left, whose name was Red, she was in another tank, and whilst I was on my honeymoon last year, and I shouldn't say this because my manager is going to see this video, but she was looking after the fish. She didn't do as she was supposed to do, and whilst I was away, the pH of the tank plummeted, and she died. Okay, after this picture was taken, she died, and that just shows you that these organisms are designed to work at the correct pH. So are we. When we become too acidic, we get sick. So with this fish, with Red, she could not function at a low, really low pH. Okay, so this just shows you on the right, optimal pH, super healthy fish, perfect skin. On the left, this is when the pH wasn't right and she couldn't function. She became blackened. She had trouble breathing. She wouldn't eat. And eventually she died. And if Peter's watching this, yes, I do blame you. No. So our last topic, and this is before we get on to the exciting questions, is just our expert acids at a glance. These are our expert acids, and if anyone's not doing them, you need to be doing them because they are very exciting and something that is a little bit unique to us. We work with all these acids: glycolic acid, 20%, right through to 35%, and then 50%. Lactobionic acid, salicylic acid, mandelic, and phytic. All of these acids. So when we have the glycolic acid at the beginning, they have a multiple of functions. Glycolic acid really is the star. It's the gold standard of acids. Why did we need to bother with the rest of them? Because they can be very irritating when used in high concentrations and low pHs. So we work with the other acids as well to be able to treat multiple of other skin conditions with those people that it would be just too much to work with the higher acids. Lactobionic acid for sensitivity, loss of vitality, salicylic acid for impurities and clogged pores, mandelic for redness and pigment spots, but also for acne, okay? And phytic acid for loss of volume. The concept is very easy. Every skin has its own needs, so we adjust the skin treatment exactly to the individual skin appearance. So when we talk about the skin concern, this is never more needed than when we're working with expert acids, okay? We need to know what they want, okay? They are multifunctional, okay? So we combine up to 3 different acids for each recipe. Now we make these recipes for you. You don't need to create the recipes, and they will be in your treatment manual. It's very interesting when I go in for training. The first thing people ask is, can I change the recipe? And I'm like, if you'd said that to my Nana over her Christmas cake, she would have smacked you on the head. Don't change the recipe. So the recipes are what they are. However, you can use the acids individually. So you can just work with lactobionic for that client that's very sensitive. Okay, so phytic acid is fantastic also for loss of volume, but also sensitivity. So you can work with them individually, but work with the recipes that we have created. And these are all of them. These are the actual indicators for them. Glycolic acid is for 20%. can be used on all of those skin concerns: cuperose impurities, loss of volume, and leathery skin. Okay, one here that is you'll see that two here that I want to go over is salicylic acid. Now, salicylic acid really is only used for impurities, and the reason that is because salicylic acid, being oil soluble, tends to dry out the skin. Okay, it dries the skin out. That the only time you want to be drying the skin out is those clients with, with impurities. Mandelic acid, it is probably the most versatile. Okay, it is used in all but one of the recipes, and that is for leathery, stiff skin. Mandelic acid is a little bit is large with those skins with leathery, really sun damaged skin. You want some of the small acids to get deep into the skin. We'd be working with the glycolic acids, 35 and 50%. But those two are unique. Salicylic acid only for skins that are impure with acne. And then mandelic acid is really the great around it. Like, I love it. And also it can be used what we'd call mono on its own. Okay. It really can be used a lot on its own. But for this expert acids, please speak to your trainers about training. I don't like expert acids going to salons who haven't done their training. Training, especially with working with the recipes and working with the neutralizer and the steps within the treatment. But I think the next one, okay, again, this is just the ratios. So we're working with a 1 to 1 to 1. So it might be 2 pumps, 2 pumps, 2 pumps, okay? Or 1, 1, 1. So you just have to make sure that when you're working within the recipe, say it's something like pigmentation, it's just 2 acids, it's 3 and 3. Okay, 3 acids, 2 mil, 2 mil, 2 mil. Okay, or 1, 1, 1. Increased sensitivity, we're working with lactobionic, mandelic, and phytic, all very large acids. Okay, what do we know about the larger acids? They don't penetrate into the skin as quickly. Okay, and they're not as irritating. Cuperose, mandelic, very large. Glycolic acid 20%, and lactobionic acid 20%. What's lactobionic acid? It's a man-made version of lactic acid, which is larger. It's even more gentle than lactic acid. Impurities, we're working with salicylic acid, glycolic, mandelic, wrinkles, phytic acid. I love phytic acid. The thing with phytic acid is it's very effective at what it does. So it's as good at breaking down the skin cell, dissolving that glue, but it's not as small as glycolic. So it penetrates slowly, as effective, but penetrates slowly. Wrinkles and loss of resilience, phytic acid, glycolic acid, and mandelic. Pigment spots, just 2, mandelic and glycolic. And then leathery and stiff skin, we're just working with the glycolics. But all of these recipes will be in your training. Now we're going to go to question time. Okay. This is my favorite part. I hope you enjoyed that. I could talk obviously, for days. And I had to keep watching the time because that went a little bit over than I was supposed to. But I hope you enjoyed any of that information. I will provide this video and all of the training notes for you so you can go back over it. But now, if we have any questions. So I think, Nicole, if you could monitor, is that okay if you monitor the question I'm asking?
Yeah. Does everybody know how to raise their hand?
So you just need to raise your hand. You will need to have your video on for me to be able to see that you have a question.
How
Just
do
want to
you
say
raise your
one
hand?
thing, Will. Sorry, Nicole. That was absolutely amazing.
I hope you.
And I just want to thank you. It was terrific. A lot of knowledge and education and things that we really needed to know. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Also, how do you raise your hand? Monique, can you explain?
I don't, usually there's a thing that says raise your hand, and I'm not
Right.
seeing So we'll have people turn on and I'll see them and I'll
Yeah.
put
So
them in.
I think the best thing is if you want to ask a question, then please turn on your video and raise your hand, and then I will listen to the question and we can have back and forth.
So if you look at the little heart that says react and you click on that, at the very bottom of that, it says raise your hand and then we'll see you and call you. But can I go ahead and ask one that's common?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I agree. It was so great. I asked you this in Germany. I want everybody to hear it from you. So we are clean beauty, but the sunscreen is not a natural. Why do we use a chemical sunscreen instead of a physical?
Okay. So we do have an obligation to provide the utmost protection from UV. And in a lot of countries, UV protection is considered a medicine. Okay, so we have created a chemical sunscreen in this situation. And in medical, we have to understand is that we use the very best ingredient if we have to. Okay, so the formula of this product means that it can be used by people with pigmentation concerns, and they are getting the very best protection that we can provide them. So that we do have natural alternatives to sunscreens such as zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. But a lot of those products are whitening on the skin. They leave a film on the skin. People don't use them as they should. So I remember Marianne Schwarberg, who was the creator of Biodroga. She's really, when we think about the original Biodroga, she used to say to me, Will, we use as much as we need to and as little as possible. We always use the very best ingredient for the concern you have. And that is the case with our SPF 50 sunscreen. We work with now the safest sunscreen ingredients. These are now reef safe. They are considered more stable than the old generation of sunscreens. We now work with, what we would call next generation sunscreens. So all of the formulas have now changed to these sunscreens. You find now that the Repair and Protect Daycare doesn't warm up the way the old one did, because the old sunscreens, when they went through their chemical process, they heated on the skin. You know, when you use cheap sunscreens at the beach, you're like, oh, that feels a bit warm. That's what's happening. But with these next generation sunscreens, they almost calm each other down and they work with each other. So I truly believe in this situation that we need to work with the very best, and that is these particular sunscreens, agents. Does that help?
Excellent. And then now Karen has her hand raised.
Karen.
Yes, well, thank you so much. That's a really incredible information. Question that I get all the time is, does clean beauty affect the performance of the skincare?
Yeah, this is a great one. So when we formulate, this is a very interesting question. When we formulated, it was important to understand there are specific ingredients that we need to use for performance. Now, things like peptides, niacinamide, these are synthetically made. Okay, so they are not considered natural. So sunscreen ingredients, they're not natural. So we really did work when we needed particular performance. We did not remove particular ingredients like those ingredients because we need these. We're a skincare company. We needed to have medical institute here performing. You don't want the doctor to say, well, this penicillin, it's natural. We've made it more with garlic. We've put a little bit of, hyssop into it. No, you want the medicine to work. So we have not taken those performance ingredients out like peptides, okay, like niacinamide, like retinol. Okay, retinol is not natural. Okay, it's a synthetically made ingredient. So we have included these ingredients in our performance products. We do have 100% natural, and that is our organic. That is why there's no retinol, no peptides in organic. Next one. Hello, Edith. One of my...
Hello, it was fantastic. Thank you so much, Will. Okay, so I have a question for you. You were talking about no retinol in the organic line. So can you give me the difference between retinol, bakuchiol, and retinal?
Oh, I love this question. So let's just talk about retinol and retinal first. So retinol, if we think about the vitamin A's, okay, when you put retinol on the skin then synthesizes that into retinal. So say a retinol, it synthesizes into less retinal. And then that synthesizes into what? Retinoic acid in the skin, because the skin uses retinoic acid. So it's just a process. So we might use 1% of retinol, and that becomes much less retinal. And that becomes even less retinoic acid in the skin. And it's the form of vitamin A that the skin uses for its way it uses for all of those benefits that it has. So when we're talking about retinol and retinal, we have to have quite a high concentration. The reason that something like the caviar cream and the clear skin anti-age isn't irritating, because a very small amount of retinol, and that's all we need, is not irritating to the skin. Does that make sense? Retinol, we need quite a lot, okay? But the chances of that irritating is higher. The more concentration, the more chance of irritation. And now, we used to only work with 0.3%. And in Europe now, guess what? That's what the law is going to become. We only worked with 0.3, and Marianne Schwarberg used to say to me, Will, as I used to say to her, oh, Marianne, I'm competing with all my other companies. She said, that is the perfect sweet spot. And it's so funny because she used to say 0.3 was the sweet spot, just enough without irritation. But why did we change it to 1%? Because our competitors everyone was. We had to remain competitive. People would choose another line because it was not high enough. I believe that 1% of retinol can be very irritating. So we're actually moving it forward with European guidelines to 0.3%, which would be far more tolerated. Bakuchiol, what is bakuchiol? And the reason we don't use it in organic, it is a synthetically derived. But so we don't use retinol in organic because it's synthetically derived. We use bakuchiol. Bakuchiol is a really exciting new ingredient. Go online and see everyone's talking about bakuchiol. Bakuchiol has shown to have similar effects of cell activation, skin lightening, boosting collagen as retinol without any of the side effects. So we use bakuchiol in the Bioscience line, in the Lifting Boost Eye Care. We work with bakuchiol in the organic line, in the Refirm Serum, and in the moisturizers. So it really is our natural and organic alternative, but it is also a fantastic alternative for anyone that cannot tolerate retinol. So we now have this Refirm Serum in organic for anyone who says, oh, I can't tolerate retinol. So we now have retinol, retinal, and bakuchiol in across the lines. That's a very long answer to a question. Next one.
Sonia.
Hello.
Okay, so hi, Will.
Hi,
Thank you
Sonia.
so much.
My pleasure.
We're just so happy to have you. Will is the face of Biodroga in my eyes, but he's just incredible, and I'm so thankful to you for this meeting. So there's a couple questions in the chat. I don't know if we'll get to those after, but also I would like to know What is an oil-soluble vitamin C and why do we use them, please?
So there is no doubt that ascorbic acid, L-ascorbic acid, is the best form of vitamin C. And we use a 3-ethyl ascorbic acid, which is a stabilized form of the vitamin C, of the water-soluble vitamin C. But when you put vitamin C into creams, into quite oily creams, that is when we start to work with the palmitates. And palmitate, ascorbyl palmitate, is an ingredient that we use, say, in the slow age line in the creams. What happens with that is when it's massaged onto the skin then synthesizes that into ascorbic acid. Okay, so we use this form of oil soluble vitamin C. It's much more stable on top of that, but in creams, okay, in oil rich creams. They're very effective. They're very, very effective, but they do need to go through a process. So when we put the vitamin C serum on the skin, that's the form it's using. Very, very effective. This is why vitamin C works so quickly. People say, why is it working so quickly? Because not having to synthesize into anything. But when we work with things like the slow age line, it does have to go through a synthesized process, and then it becomes ascorbic acid in the skin. Next.
Thank you. Patricia?
So thank you, Will. It's
Hi,
awesome.
Patricia.
Appreciate it. I can't get my picture up. Sorry, I don't know how to do it.
That's okay.
My question is, how do I really determine on the client the pH? I mean, I have a pH meter, but I understand they're not very correct immediately unless the skin, is like without cleansing and so forth. So how do I determine what their pH is?
Yeah. So this is where I think those I don't believe in using those pH meters. And this is where you become a skin whisperer. Okay. You will know. You will be able to see when the skin pH is too high. And this is when you will see irritations, cracked skin, dry, flaky skin, and it will all come down to oil content. Okay, so whilst it's important to understand, the perfect pH does all of this, you can't become too obsessed. You put this across to the fish tank as well. It will change. Okay, so what we're doing is we're providing all of those things that your clients need to keep the perfect pH. And that is skin biotics, both like alpha-glucan oligosaccharides, prebiotics, postbiotics, lactococcus ferment lysate, bifida ferment lysate. These help, okay? Because what do good bacteria do on the skin? They eat the ceramides and then, excuse me here, they poop out the acid, okay? So they keep the skin nice and acidic. So you are using ingredients to keep that skin barrier nice and healthy, and the skin will keep its pH. This is where something like the hypersensitive cream is an absolute must, or the repair and protect creams. Client comes in and says, my skin's irritated, and it's not necessarily anything but the skin barrier is not what it should be. And that is why I think there's two products that are really first stop, and that is CBD serum, okay, with the hypersensitive cream. And I'm telling you now, for a lot of our clients, when they come into the salon, we say to them, don't worry about the retinols and the vitamin. We want you on a series, 4 to 6 weeks of this product. And you will see, it's crazy because they come in thinking they also want anti-aging. This is what they want. But if you get the skin nice and healthy, number one, it's anti-aging itself. But then you can start to do those anti-aging treatments. You can start to use those anti-aging creams. Client comes in, impaired barrier, because you see skin looks irritated, dry, blotchy, okay? Because that's how the skin will present. You give them a retinol and a vitamin C, you'll never see them again. You put them on a CBD serum and a hypersensitive cream for a month to 6 weeks, I promise you'll see them again. Because they're going to come back and their skin's going to glow. They're going to be ready for the retinol. They're going to be ready to start expert acids. So you've got to you have to become a skin whisperer. You need to really see blotchy, irritated, flaky, and it's not necessarily also something you can see. You need to ask them these questions. My skin's really inflamed. It's just, irritating all the time. This will be barrier. When that's the case, the pH will be too high.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Jelisa?
Yes. Hi, Will. Oh my goodness, such an honor to learn from you. Oh my goodness, my brain feels like I've learned so much. It's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, adding to what you were saying about being like a skin whisperer, I have a client who does have cancer. She's going through a recovery right now. Like she goes to Mexico and kind of goes on like this sort of cancer workshop. And it is working for her. Like I even see improvement in her skin, which is, I guess, kind of like something that I've been able to indulge in, is being able to be that kind of skin whisperer, but still kind of learning as well how to navigate through that. So I guess what I'm asking is, how do you decipher what kind of treatment to go with a cancer patient? Do you make decisions based on like their lifestyle? Like what is your kind of, I guess you could say, like your protocol, or when having to make that decision for such a meticulous lifestyle, I guess?
Yeah. I love this question because we get this asked a lot and we will see this all the time. So last week I was very, very unwell. I had bronchitis. I really thought I was going to have to go to the hospital, and instantly my skin reacted. Like it was blotchy, it was red, I was angry, it was sore to touch, and I stopped everything and I went purely on the hypersensitive cream. Within 3 days, really within, I want to say 2 days, my skin had gone back to normal. Really, really obvious. And it's, I don't use this cream all the time because, I control the sensitivities in my skin. So when we're dealing with these particular clients, I think you have to remember that their skin is in a hypersensitized state. They will be the first to show anything in their skin. So there are particular product lines, particular products we could work with: calming gel to oil, calming lotion, CBD serum, and the hypersensitive cream. So calming gel to oil, calming lotion, CBD serum, and hypersensitive cream. These are all about barrier. Okay, these are all barrier focused. These particular products will work with your client's skin during the treatment that she's having. Now, if everything is going well, the skin is looking okay and good, everything's great, you could introduce the peptide serum, okay? Because the peptide serum, peptides are not irritating, okay? The peptide serum is not irritating at all. If they, some people are like, oh, I really want anti-aging, I really want an anti-aging effect. Peptides would be no problem. I would cycle it in. So you cycle the peptides a few times a week, but keep up with the CBD serum. Also, take photos. Keep a really good photo log of how the skin is looking during the treatment that she's on and using the products, and change accordingly. So it may be even CBD is too much. You've got to remember that some skins are so hypersensitized. I was in Germany once and we were doing some treatments, and we're always practicing on each other and always doing too much, and skins were reacting. The first thing I did was remove everything and put a collagen pad on. 100% collagen pad. Our collagen pads are beautiful, with cool water. Some of the therapists, and these are trained therapists, was using sensitive serums and anti-red essences. No. When a skin is hypersensitized, less is more. So with some of those really hypersensitized skins, just use the cream. Just use the cream and then introduce the CBD serum. Does that help?
Perfect. Yes, I wrote everything. Well, not everything down, but wow, so many key points there. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Okay, iPad. Who's got your hand raised? iPad.
Hi, Nicole. This is Fadia. So I have a few questions. what kind of acid do you recommend for melasma?
So we work with mandelic and glycolic.
Okay, second question, can we put the sunscreen around the eyes, close to the eyes?
Sunscreen, all of cream, anything, nothing goes further than the orbital bone, okay? The orbital bone, only because skincare moves with warmth, with heat. And sometimes, and remember, sunscreen needs to be put on nice and thick, okay? Remember the 2-finger rule? Has to be at least 2 fingers. It needs to be applied nice and thick, and it can get into the eye. So I always say just to the bone, okay? Just
Okay,
to the bone.
thank you. Okay, one more question. I noticed that they only have one skincare for neck, and I feel like just looking at the ingredients and looking at other products that they have different type of ingredient in it. So does the work? I mean, does the neck cream enough for mature skin for
Yeah.
neck?
Great question. I love these questions. So this question, think serums. Okay. Serums do the job. This is the medicine. So if we're thinking loss of volume on the neck, we would be using the peptide serum. The reason that we have this one cream as such for the neck is it is beautiful and rich. And remember, along the neck area, there's less sebaceous glands. This area can always tolerate a beautiful, rich cream. Working with, and it's got biopeptides in it, working with extra biopeptides underneath. But what happens then if the client, has acne? And they'll be using clear skin up here, but a nice, rich neck cream with peptides down here. So pick your zone. This is a zone. Okay, zone here. This is a zone. So very often we divide the face up into the zones. This neck area is always treated differently unless super dry, super aged all over, and then you could get away with using the same products across. But very often here, peptides, neck cream, okay? Peptides and neck cream. And then if it's different on the face, then you use a different serum and a different cream.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen? Karen?
She's just unmuting herself. Let's go to Tesma.
Hello,
Hi, Tesma.
everyone. First of all, I want to say it's truly a pleasure to have this episode.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You are truly inspiring, and thank you for your time and for sharing your valuable insights. It's an honor to be learning from you. Well, my question, your skin looks absolutely amazing. That
Oh,
healthy, glowing. Yes, since I have a lot of male clients who are always looking for the best skincare, advice, I want to hear secrets, your secret.
yes.
What, yes, like I want to hear your secrets. What do you use for your skin?
This clinic that you're in now, this is my salon. And when we first started, we had all male clients. Okay, we were so I obviously I've built my business on male skin, and I understand male clients better than anything, better than anyone. And my first one would be keep it simple. Keep it simple. That is the most important thing you can take on. Is if you make it too complicated, they won't stick to it. Okay, so you keep it simple. Maybe 3 steps: cleaning the skin, correcting the skin, protecting the skin. 3 steps. Men, could you just turn off iPhone for? Thank you. So, but men are very good at following directions. I'm sorry, you're probably married to and then you think they're not at all. But if you write out the directions to the skin for the skincare, they will follow it. So sometimes I even write on the jar in black texture. If it's a jar, I might say morning cream, evening cream. On the serum, I might write 3 drops morning. So actually writing on the jars is really good. So get a nice fine black tip texture. So with men,
I see.
men love foaming products. It's just something they love to do. It goes back to the idea of soap and keeping, that. So the foaming cleanser works really, really well for boys. It is probably our most popular cleanser for men. I think then when we're talking, we can go for the men's line. Okay, so the men's line really does cover anti-shine, the 2 real concerns of men. Anti-shine in the Hydra Power, okay, in the Hydra Power cream, because it's full of niacinamide, full to the brim of niacinamide. What does niacinamide do? Controls excess sebum. So the Hydra Power is a fantastic cream for men because I want to say 80% of men don't want shine on their skin. That's the thing. I don't want skincare to look like I'm wearing it. And with that particular care product, it provides all the hydration without any shine. And then in the evening, using the Anti-Age Rescue as their evening cream. Then you can start to use serums. And that is when you would start to say, what's your concern, John? John says, aging. Okay, we're going to bump up the amount of peptides in your routine by using the 5% peptide serum. And what do boys love about peptides? Because they know them from the gym. They're taking peptides already to build muscles. Men know about peptides. Some of them probably even know more than women about peptides. So peptides, peptides, peptides for men. I think also understand that for boys, making it, you can make it simple, but make it effective. Don't just give the boys, a standardized 3 products. Really ask them what their concerns are, because boys very often get sort of pushed aside saying, well, they're simple. Don't think about them as simple. Think about there's a simple approach with using those 2 products I've mentioned, the Hydra Power and the Anti-Age, because they're really effective for what men want. But then be the best skin therapist and choose which moisturizer. The only time is, what if those client has super sensitive skin? Then I would go, what? I would go CBD and the hypersensitive cream. Okay, that's really important. You don't just give anything to them because they're a man. Prescribe properly and choose the right product for them if that's the case. Does that help?
And then I would say for acne, right, you would go with the clear skin.
The same. So you need to choose the right products for the skin condition that the client has. But if it's just general, and this is what a lot of men will have, is just general, we can definitely go men's line and serums. But if it is specific, men have rosacea as well. We would go down the rosacea line. When we're talking medical problems, stick with the program. If we're talking general, Susie's husband just wants his skin to look nice, then you can stick with the bioscience products. As for my skin at the moment, I'm just using the hypersensitive cream. Like, I was talking to Karen yesterday, and I must say she was, commenting on my skin as well. And actually, that's why we wanted my picture to be so big on the screen, was so that you can see, because this is hypersensitive cream. I tell you, I'm like a new super fan of this particular product. It truly is. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. Good.
Well, there is one in the chat that I do actually think is very important. Our clients love the oxygen formula moisturizers for combination skin and for sallow, dry skin. What would you recommend as a replacement for these products?
Yeah. So Oxygen cream is a very, very old cream. If you were thinking about phones, it would be a Nokia 2210, okay? Because that's how old Oxygen formula was. And there was a lot of people saying, why couldn't we just have Oxygen again? Oxygen is dated. It does not really have a lot of great ingredients in it. It was just super nutritious, really rich. Its upgrade is slow age. This is the upgrade of Oxygen. And what we've done is Oxygen had a bit of a medicinal smell. The upgrade slow age has a licorice medicinal smell as well. It's not floral, it's not fruity. It really does complement the fragrance of Oxygen. But what we've done is we've added vitamin C. So we've really bumped up the active and the glycoproteins, which are for barrier health. There's hyaluronic acid in the products. So we have bumped up the active ingredients, still kept with one with for an oily combination skin, lighter texture, and one super rich. The slow age rich is really, really rich. I say sample to the clients using Oxygen and saying this is the upgrade to the Oxygen line, and it has these ingredients in it. We've had no complaints. Here in Australia, Oxygen was a very big seller, and we've had absolutely no complaints from those clients moving from Oxygen to slow age because it's better. Yeah.
And Francisca.
Hello.
Hello.
I do have my class here. They've been watching it, and they do have a question because they really like how his skin looks. So Will, you have a wonderful skin, and so they do have a personal question for you.
Hi, Will. Hi, Will. We're not trying to be rude, but we just wanted to ask your age because your skin regimen is like perfect.
I'm 50.
Oh, wow.
I'm 50.
Oh,
But
well, you're a gorgeous man. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
I've used Biodroga for 30 years. Yeah.
Wow, see, I was telling my students that this is the brand that I like. And so they were like, man, his face looks so good. And I'm like, I bet he uses Biodroga.
I
So
think
now you
I think that it's interesting. So I don't have a lot of skin treatments. I just consistently use twice a day very good ingredients. Twice a day, every single day. I listen to my skin. If my skin is a little bit sensitive or not, how I back away from active ingredients. I do like working. I prefer to work with bakuchiol, to be honest, but I work with lots of ingredients, but I use it every single day. Your skin is like going to the gym. You can't go once a month and expect to look. You can't do that. It's not going to happen. It needs to be consistent. So when I was talking before about with men keeping it simple, if you can keep it simple and keep it consistent, then that's when you see results. It's no use, no, I'm not here to bash Kardashians, but with 7-step routine. I'm like, oh my Lord, most people are not going to do a 7-step routine, and they're going to stop, or they're not going to do it 3 nights a week. So I think consistently using good ingredients twice a day, every day. I do not go to bed without cleaning my skin, using my serums and my moisturizers. Another trick is I don't do it just before bed. I do it as soon as I get home. And the reason I do that is then I enjoy it. I'm up at 4 a.m. in the morning. So by the time I go to bed, I'm ready to crash. I do my skincare as soon as I get home when I'm still feeling good. Stand in front of the mirror, do my wash, put my serums on, my creams. Also gives time for my creams and my serums to absorb before I'm putting them on the pillow. So always when you get home, not before bed.
Thank you so much.
I'll ask another one. Sorry, another one from the chat. is which one do you think, what eye cream do you think is best for puffy or dark eyes?
Without doubt, the Hydra Boost eye care in Bioscience line. Number one, it's perfect for everyone because it again is perfume free, okay? But it has the caffeine in it. So it is full of hyaluronic acid, which is wonderful, but it does have the caffeine to increase circulation around the eyes and to encourage the removal of that pooling blood around the eyes. I do think that this is a perfect time to educate your clients on our lymphatic system as well and our circulatory system. So whilst our circulatory system has the heart to pump, our lymphatic system, it moves around by muscular contractions. So you want to educate your clients on some lymphatic drainage. Love. And this is just a light pumping movement through the eye to help with the removal of fluid or draining of fluid around the eyes. So apply your eye care and then tell them to do a small pressure point lymphatic massage or those beautiful jade rollers and a nice jade roller massage through the eye. And we come from the beginning to the outside area. Again, if your client has a concern, tell them how to get how to treat it. And that might mean multiple things. Keeping eye care in the fridge, using a lymphatic massage, using a jade roller. This is what you're going to get the effect. It's like if you only do one thing, the effect is going to be this much. But if you do all of them, you're really going to see the benefit.
Great. Well, how do you tell when somebody will benefit from an acid? Like, you know, what kind of skin would you say this person really should have something with an acid in it or an acid treatment?
So this is a great question. So every single skin can benefit from acids to some degree. So that may be just working with, say, the enzyme boost peeling, which has lactic acid in it and the enzyme boosters. So that, you know, particular client that has very sensitive skin, that's a perfect exfoliant for that client. You might use that particular acid peeling, that enzyme booster peeling. Remember, the enzyme booster peeling has lactic acid in it as well at a 5% pH plus the enzyme boosting ingredients, but it's very, very, very gentle. So that is working with an acid on really sensitive skins and cuperos, right through to working with much, much higher strength, lower pH acids on, you know, the lady down at Bondi roasting herself every day with the, you know, she's brown and leathery, then she will really benefit from, you know, 50% acid, lower pH. But every single skin can benefit from acids. But skin comes in presenting as hypersensitized. No. Don't worry about using acids, okay? Do not what you want to repair that barrier first, and then you can start introducing. Remember the difference between hypersensitized and sensitive. Hypersensitized is a skin condition. Okay, they present, could be allergies, could be a burn, could be sunburn. This is a hypersensitized skin. My skin is sensitive. When I use the wrong products, my skin flares up, but I don't present as red today. I could be sensitive and present as hypersensitized. Okay, the two can go together. Okay, but they are separate. Sensitive is more of a skin type. It's a skin type. When we're talking skin type, we have oily, dry, normal, combination, and guess what? There's a fifth, sensitive. And that is because skin types don't change quickly. They are what your skin is. A skin condition changes quickly, can change really quickly. You can get acne very quickly and get rid of it. Skin condition.
Perfect. Thank you. We've got
Francis-
4 more minutes. So anybody have another question?
Francisca's
I did
back.
get a text. I did get a text on one
do.
if we have time. And yes, Nicole, do you have a question?
We have time.
Okay, I got a text from somebody asking me, can I ask you about 5% AHA for large pores on the nose? Would you suggest that?
Right. So I will be honest. I think large pores on the nose work best with the BHA serum. Okay, because think about, there's a few reasons we present with large pores. The pores are large, the pores are large, and there's unfortunately not a lot we can do about that. It's often genetic, and once it's happened, it's happened. But what we want to do is make them less visible. And that is, I believe the BHA serum works incredibly well at lessening the obviousness of large pores. Because remember, we're actually trying to clean out inside the pore. It's got oil. AHA is not going to do that. Okay, we need to clear out inside the pore, and that comes from the BHA because BHA is oil soluble and helps to remove from within the pore. So working with BHA serum and then working with the niacinamide serum. Niacinamide, what does it do? Reduces oil flow. The less oil pooling in that pore, the less dark it appears. But do not promise your clients that we are going to get rid of their large pores. What are we going to do? We're going to make them less obvious. That's all. Okay. BHA and niacinamide.
Okay, we got 2 hands. Francisca.
Yes, one of my students has a question.
Yes. So I live with a lot of boys who are always in the sun and are always like having dirt in their face and skin and all that. What would be like a good skincare regimen for them when they are out there? Like, what should I recommend for them to be wearing?
Yeah, so they're getting lots of sun, yes?
Yes.
Okay. This is where our new Sun 50 is an absolute star because it's not greasy at all. And we prescribe this to all of our male clients that are out in the sun all day. They're bricklayers. They're doing, sort of lots of outdoor work. Remember that this particular sun cream has many other ingredients. It has niacinamide. It has hyaluronic acid. Okay. And it has vitamin C. It is a treatment product without being greasy, and it's an SPF 50. So we just prescribe this as their daytime moisturizer, plain and simple, and then prescribe them, say, the anti-age cream in the evening or a product that is prescribed for a skin condition that they might have. Then ask them 2 questions. Do you like a cleanser that foams? Oh yeah, I love that. Perfect. Someone says to you, oh, I don't mind. Then another option for men really is the cleansing fluid. Cleansing fluid is a great option for men. Not so much for those men that want it to foam because cleansing fluid has very light surfactants in it. But I do think for men, I got my husband off the foaming cleanser and now he's a cleansing fluid person and he loves it. He absolutely loves it. So those 2 cleansers are great. The other one is the facial exfoliator. Facial exfoliator, they can feel the beads. They love the experience. Keep it in the shower. Only you need to use a small amount, but with the boys, teach them how to do it. So boys will, by nature, go, oh, yeah, scrub, feels good, oh. You need to teach them. Okay, so you say, John, okay, I'm going to give you this product, but only if you're a good boy. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to put it under the skin, and then you're just going to let the beads do the job. You don't have to do anything. You're just applying the action, not the pressure. And so again, write on them twice a week in shower, on the facial exfoliator, put it in the shower, on the cleanser, morning and evening, cleanse. First step, second step. So write it on the products for them.
Thank you.
iPad. 2 last questions, and we gotta let Will go.
Yeah. So my question was about the exfoliator. So how often should we exfoliate? You just mentioned 2 times a week.
So I like to mix some chemical with some mechanical. Now, I'll be honest, I used to not like cellular scrub at all. Okay, I just was not a fan in any way. It was drying on the skin. My skin didn't like it. And sometimes as a skin therapist, we know if we don't like a product, we tend not to prescribe it. So, but the new version is beautiful. And Biodroga took the criticism and what they did is they put an oil complex in the new facial exfoliator. So it's really nourishing. So it is a nourishing but really gentle exfoliant. And the real exfoliant in the facial exfoliator is the silica. It's the really fine action. You might think the jojoba beads do the action. That's more of a mental thing, to be honest. There's not enough jojoba beads in it to really give it a good exfoliation. It's the silica. So I like to do both. I like to do either the AHA 10% glycolic pads once a week with the facial exfoliator once a week, or you could do the 10% acid peeling at home once a week. That product you can also leave on. You don't have to wash it off. So you can just cleanse, put it on, leave it for 5 minutes, and then put your moisturizer over the top. Or you could use for really sensitive skins the enzyme booster peeling, but always mixed in with the facial exfoliator. You're getting the loosening of the dead skin cells, that sort of breaking down of the bonds, but you also need the skin to have a little bit of help, especially as we get older. And that will come from using the facial exfoliator.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing in the salon? In the salon, work with the facial exfoliator with the enzyme boost. The way you do it is cleanse, prepare, apply the enzyme boost, work that in for 3 to 5 minutes with your fingers, then apply the facial exfoliator over the top. Okay? And you're working then with the two products. You can add steam into that if it's appropriate, and then remove. You are getting in this, I call it the triple. You're getting chemical exfoliation from the lactic, you're getting mechanical from the facial exfoliator, and you're getting enzyme boosting from the Exfol Boost. Wow. 3 types of exfoliation, and that is for salon treatments.
So, yeah.
Last one.
Last question. Can you explain skin biotics role in skincare?
Oh, the lucky last. So if anyone has done my classes, you know that I'm quite obsessed with skin biotics. And I think this is because if we go back to the beginning for me was the original Biodroga Skin Puran, what was used back then, or for SK something. He always worked with skin biotics, especially for those suffering from acne. Because think about this, what do skin biotics do? We have prebiotics, which is the energy for good skin bacteria, and postbiotics, okay, which is the nutrients for good skin bacteria. We don't work with pro because pro is alive. We don't yet, but we don't work with pro. They're the ones you take orally, acidophilus bifidus. But we work with pre-alpha gluco oligosaccharides, the sugars that provide the energy for good bacteria, and we find them in lots of our products. And then the post. And the 2 posts we work with is bifidobacterium lysate, which is the most famous of famous ones, which we've worked with in Biodroga for 30 years. And it's in our repair and protect line, and also in our golden caviar line. And then lactococcus ferment lysate, which is in our medical lines, in our CBD serum and in the hypersensitive cream. These all nurture and provide ingredients for the good bacteria to flourish. When good bacteria flourishes, skin will be healthy. As soon as that good bacteria can't function or becomes dormant, the bacteria doesn't die, it just becomes dormant. It's not doing what it should be doing. It's not pooping out the acid. It's not keeping the acid mantle where it should be. Skin goes into havoc. All skincare needs skin biotics. This is why the serum everyone should be using, everyone, is CBD serum. CBD serum is packed with postbiotics, lactococcus ferment lysate.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you so much, everyone. That was really fun. And it was worth getting out of bed at 1 a.m. for, I tell you.
Thank you so much. You're the best.
I thank you. And also, I would advise everyone to get onto these WhatsApp groups, when they start or if they've started already, for continued training. I think this is essential to remain at the top of what we do. And if you think about when we were at beauty school, we only got information from textbooks. Well,
Yeah.
now there is so much information. We need to be on top of all of it because our clients will. So thank you so much for everyone for taking the time to join us today. And I look forward to next time.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Will. Incredible.
you.
Thanks so
Have a
much.
great day.
Thank you so much, Will.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.